Ladies, on March 27th at the Golden Gate Club in San Francisco, I invite you to join a room of trailblazers, executives, entrepreneurs, and visionaries who are rewriting the rules of money. Hear from real women who've built wealth through real estate investments, scaling businesses, and creative financial strategies. And learn from industry leaders who have walked the path you're on and who are ready to share their playbooks. You'll engage in intimate panels, fireside conversations, and curated peer-to-peer matchmaking designed to spark meaningful connections. Leave with our wealth creation toolkit packed with actionable resources to help you prioritize your goals and take immediate steps towards financial independence. Now, your journey doesn't end when the day is over. Each of you will be invited to join our online Catalyst community, where you'll be guided through more educational opportunities and times to be able to connect with each other over the course of the next few months. Wealth creation is about opportunity and community. Now, early bird tickets are $9.99 through February 27th. Don't wait. This is your moment to build confidence, community, and wealth. Apply now at women.win and use the code SHAMA25, that's SYAMA25, to get a 25% discount off the early bird price. The Women in Wealth Catalyst Summit, ladies. It's time to redefine wealth and redefine your future.
Welcome to Getting Rich Together, the show for successful women who are looking to take their financial futures to the next level. I'm your host, Shama Bunton. When I started my wealth building journey, nobody knocked on my door to give me all the answers. So I want to talk to the experts who've done it and bring the answers to you so we can discover the right opportunities that will help us achieve the financial futures we've always dreamed of, together, and have fun doing it. So let's dive into this episode and start getting rich together.
But first, a quick word from our sponsor. Are taxes holding back your investment returns? Well, Frex direct indexing strategies are built for high net worth investors, helping you keep more of what you earn. With daily tax loss harvesting, your portfolio actively works to offset gains and reduce your tax burden. It's sophisticated, tax-efficient investing made simple, with fees starting at just 0.1%. Are you ready to build or preserve your wealth smarter? Visit FREC.com to learn more. Now, investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Brokerage services are provided by Frex Securities, LLC, member FINRA SIPC, and advisory services by affiliate Freck Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Fees vary based on index investment.
Well, it is our 50th episode of the Getting Rich Together podcast. Can you believe it? I feel like this is such a big milestone, and I'm so grateful to get to share it with all of you. You know, when this podcast first started, I just could never have imagined that we would have gained so much momentum and that the audiences would be so ripe and ready to hear these powerful stories from women. The intention was always to help women understand that we are not ahead of the game, we are not behind the game, we are all exactly where we need to be. Wealth building is not linear, and my gosh, our stories are all so individual that, of course, every single episode would just have the most incredible stories that are both relatable and also so interesting to hear about, right? As I reflect on the episodes that we have published, I am just struck by the vulnerability, the authenticity, and the ways in which each of our guests have shown up, honestly, answering questions and sharing things that I don't think, well, they've told me so, they didn't know they would actually end up sharing. And as the audience, I hope you've also felt that with each of these stories, I've been able to do my job, which is hold a mirror to everyone's greatness. The number of times I've heard a woman tell me, I didn't know I needed to be on the show. I didn't know that my story would matter. It's far too many times for me to count, but yet I know that the impact is there and it's landing with our audience, with you, and also with the incredible women who've been sharing their stories. Now, in the last, 9 months now that the show has been out, we've hit some incredible milestones, and I'm so grateful for all of you and your participation in this. We have over 1,000 5 stars on Spotify, not a small feat. We won an award this past year for Most Innovative Podcast by or for Women, which is incredible. I cannot believe that. And we're also hitting top charts and being listened to globally under business and investing. which is also something I just never thought would be possible. So thank each and every one of you for engaging, listening, reaching out to me on LinkedIn, telling me how impactful these stories have been. And thank you to the women who've raised their hands to say, I'm ready for my story to be told. Now, I do believe that there has been no other time in history where these conversations could have happened until today. Knowing that it was only into the late 70s that women were able to get credit cards, be able to apply for home loans on their own, it is no surprise that it's taken us this long to be able to really make incredible strides and feel confident to be able to talk about what is happening. Think about when these conversations start to happen more frequently, more cities across the country, across the world, when women come together to share what they know and collaborate to build, imagine just how much more progress will be made in the decades to come. So I consider myself very lucky and fortunate to be not only resting on the shoulders of some incredible pioneering women who have been in this space building for decades, but to be able to hold a torch for our future and to be able to collaborate with those who are looking to seek to close the wealth confidence gap for women. Now, we all know $30 trillion is changing hands. We also know that women, if we invested the same way that men did, we'd have $3 trillion more in the economy. I just find that to be so wild. Now, of course, only 28% of women feel confident being financially active. So my question to you is, how do we close the confidence gap for the 72% of women who do not feel that they are able to be financially active with their resources? Now, in my mind, I feel like this is a national and global issue. If women do not feel confident with the money that they're earning to be able to invest it wisely, if we don't feel confident with the money that we're inheriting, then one of the biggest things that's going to happen, which is money comes out of the economy or it stays in legacy portfolios, and we're unable to invest in innovation. We're not being strategic about building generational wealth, and we're not actually being able to create new things that are able to align with our values, right? This is all about leading with our values and being able to be capitalists in the ways that change the world to the way we want to see it. So I continue to be really enthusiastic and really excited about everything that's coming up ahead. Now, many of you guys have been hearing about this, and I'm excited to dive in more, which is all around the Women in Wealth Catalyst Summit. Now, you've been seeing some ads for this. You've been hearing about it, hopefully from your friends. And what's been really exciting about the momentum around this summit is we are convening in an application-only process women to come together to learn and share with each other the ways in which they've been investing and building wealth. Now, why is this important? Well, in my journey of learning about finances, of learning about the different ways to build wealth, what I found is that most women have figured something out. We just haven't had the confidence to share it. And one of the things that I've also found to be so remarkable is that most women won't talk about their successes because they don't want other women to feel bad. But guess what? Women also don't talk about their failures or their struggles because they don't want to look bad. It is time that we create a space and an environment for women to feel safe and confident to be around other peers and talk about the things that they've learned and feel free and safe to ask the questions about the things they want to learn more about. Now, that is exactly what I'm doing with the Women in Wealth Catalyst Summit. Through this application-only process, we are looking for women who are eager to learn things and eager to share. Your voice is important, and this is a safe space for you to be able to help others and also help yourself. Now, what's also very unique about what we're doing is we're approaching this from a very accessible standpoint. There are no celebrities who are speaking at this event. These are role models. These are peers. These are women who you may know, but you may not know what they've been doing creatively to help them navigate the wealth building process. The other thing that makes this so unique is our peer-to-peer matchmaking. Now, this allows me to go behind the scenes and go, oh, you want to learn about this? Let me connect you to this person. Or wait a second, you want to learn about this other thing? Well, let me connect you to someone who's also actively learning in that way. I have a unique opportunity to help you connect the dots before the event starts and to curate the networking at the day of the event. This is something I wish happened every time I went to a conference, but unfortunately, I find myself sitting next to incredible people, but not quite sure exactly what to ask them or what to sort of get out of the conversation. So I know that this peer-to-peer networking is something that I've always wished happened, and I'm so excited to see this come to life at these summits. I hope you join me at this summit. It is a distinct invitation to each and every one of you who've been curious about what is next for you in your financial future. I know many of you have figured so many things out, and yet you know that there is more, and that is exactly what the summit is for. Now, the summit for me is really the culmination of a journey that some of you guys may already know about, but I'm going to take a minute to share with you really how this all started. I was going through a divorce about 5 years ago, and I sent out an email to 50 girlfriends, and I asked them to talk to me about money. I was eager to learn. I wanted to know what they knew, and I was eager to close the gap for myself at this very pivotal moment in my life. Now, unfortunately, 95% of them did not want to talk about money. And I was shocked. Money is one of those things that we all have a relationship to on this planet. Whether or not you know it or not, money is something we can't escape. Now, there were a few women who raised their hands and said, Shama, I want to learn with you and I want to go down this path with you. And I said, thank God, let's go. That led me to doing a number of really important things. The first is doing what so many women do, which is I need to know something. Let me educate myself like crazy. Took the VC courses at Columbia, started joining a bunch of syndicates, started listening to all the financial webinars, and really started to have conversations with lots and lots of women. And I would raise my hand in those rooms. I would say, I'm looking for expanders. Who's willing to have a conversation with me? And let me learn from you and with you. Now, in the last 6 years, I've had hundreds of conversations with women. I've been able to understand exactly what the things are that hold us back emotionally, just how powerful and how much we do really know, and what it means to have a safe space to be able to ask questions. Almost all the women I spoke to were really successful. They had created things in their life. They were accomplished. They were victorious in so many different ways and overcame so many obstacles. And yet many of them did not self-identify as being successful. And it broke my heart. It made me realize that we had yet to close this gap of being able to hold a mirror to our own greatness, and that we needed to have a safe space to be able to talk about it. So I started hosting conversations from small groups of 10 women to groups of 150, all around talking about money. And I realized the unique role that I was to play in this journey. My role was not to be your financial advisor and tell you where to allocate your money and tell you how to invest it. My role was to help to shine a light on something that is so integral for us to be able to create change in our own personal lives and to be able to change the world. My role was to shine a mirror, to hold space, and to be able to do something that was going to take millions of other women to get behind. My goal was that all of us would get rich together. Now that you know this story and you know sort of where this came from, it comes as no surprise, I'm sure, to know that I've been leading conversations with so many different communities over the last few years, and that this podcast is really born out of those unique one-on-one conversations. Now, the summit is born out of the podcast. I am realizing that we need to have women on stage to be able to hold the microphone, and we need to be able to get women together to unlock and to co-create into the future. So I'd love to be able to share with you, as I did in our last bonus episode, just a little bit more about what's going on in my financial life. You know, a big part of being able to hold a mirror to everyone else is also being able to hold a mirror to myself. So what has been working? What hasn't been working? I'd love to share with you some of the most important updates that have happened for me in my financial life. Well, since our last update, I've been really curious and interested in a few different things. The first has been land. Now, what's been so interesting to me about land is, as my husband would say, it's something that they're not making any more of. And I think it's really funny and interesting because he's right. It is something they're not making any more of. And so I've been really curious about areas of climate resiliency. Everyone's been just so devastated by so many changes in climate that for me, I was thinking, well, what are going to be some of the areas and places where I can start to look at making investments to really protect my family for the future? So I purchased a little bit of land this past year, and I'm really excited to see what comes of it, what I get to create, what the white space looks like, and even holding on to it when the timing is right. It's something I'm in no rush to do something with, but something that I'm really excited and eager to pursue. Now, what's also been really exciting for me has to be able to see my investments in Broadway. It's been such a fun area and category for me to invest in, mostly because it feels so untraditional, and yet it's something that gives me a real tangible feeling. I had a chance to invest in Cabaret and most recently went to New York and saw the show. There's something so satisfying about seeing something that you've invested in and being able to look around you and seeing the impact that it's having on other people. That is not something that we get to necessarily have the privilege of when we are investing in other SaaS businesses or other things that we don't necessarily know what the outcomes are, right? How is it really affecting people? So I really just relished in the opportunity to be able to see the show, be able to have so much fun doing it, and then also be able to reflect on what is it that I can do in the future that might also bring me joy. Now, in this past year, I also joined two funds. I joined Chloe Capital and Open Venture Capital, two emerging market funds with incredible leaders, both who are women, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. A big part of the reason why I joined these funds was because I was realizing that a lot of the energy and effort going into doing diligence for angel investing was something that I'd have to put on the back burner for a little bit. As you can tell from all of my updates, I've been so busy with building out this platform and creating spaces to host conversations. So I've had to put some of the diligent stuff on hold, and that's why I'm really looking into venture funds and what are the ways in which I can double down on the GPs, on the general partners who are spending all their time sourcing deals, finding the best investments, and really stewarding capital in the way that they can do best. So what else has happened? Well, I'm hopeful for a few IPOs for this year. Now, as you may have heard in other previous episodes where I've shared more of my story, when something IPOs, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a big winner. When I invested in the Honest Company through the secondaries market, which is essentially me purchasing employee shares of the company, I was really excited. I thought it was going to IPO. I thought the product was great. I thought it was going to do really well. But when it eventually did go public and the shares dropped, I found that I lost money in that. It's a really different story from when I pursued a similar strategy with Slack. Also purchased secondary shares of Slack, employee-owned shares, and when it went public, the shares doubled in its value. And after the lockup period, which is essentially a time period where you cannot actually pull your money out or sell those shares, which is usually about 6 months, by the time that 6 months was over, my investment maintained its integrity in terms of what it had gained. And so that for me was a huge win. So while I'm excited to see these IPOs this year, I honestly have no idea how the market's going to respond, and I'm very much looking forward to hopefully some of these being a winner. So cross my fingers that by the time we do our next bonus episode, there'll be some fantastic news to share. Now, what else has happened? I invested in two consumer beauty brands, which I'm excited about. One of them recently had an exit, and I'm waiting to hear some news either way on what that means. And again, hopefully that means some extra exciting news for one of the episodes. But that's really sort of the areas in which I've been looking at investing my money over the last few months. It's been an exciting journey to sort of see where things are landing. And then also to sort of keep my eyes out to the horizon of what's coming up. There's been so much talk around AI, not just in the most recent years, but certainly coming up today as we look at what's going to happen to the future of the US economy and the areas in which investments are going to be made into AI and how we are going to start to train our job force and what this means in terms of more jobs and people really starting to get active. Now, I don't know what it means in terms of my own personal investments into what those categories are. As I've been looking at a lot of these different companies, in my intuition and in my gut, I kept wondering, is this overvalued? Is this really going to be the thing that changes the world? And it just might be. And maybe I was remiss to not make some of those investments. But I'm excited to see how this plays out. I've realized I'm no expert in AI. And I think that there are going to be key leaders in this space that we are going to want to really engage with. Now, I do use a lot of AI in my day-to-day life. I'm sure all of you guys have your quick bookmarks to Perplexity or ChatGPT or even to Claude. Those are three things that are always on my browser. But I'm excited to see where this goes. And I'm excited to see the investment trends and how companies are shaped and changed through the integrations of this over time. The other things that I'm looking forward to seeing this year are what's going to happen with a lot of these emerging funds. I think it's so important as we look at fundraising and as many of us are looking at participating in funds that we keep in mind that these emerging funds are working so hard. And my hope is to see a lot more collaboration with how they're looking at the deals that they're sourcing, where they're investing, and obviously co-investing with other larger venture funds. I also think it's important for all of you guys to know that investing in a venture fund doesn't have to be $1 million. It doesn't have to be $100,000 or even $50,000. A lot of the smaller funds and even some larger funds that are open to onboarding more first-time investors will start their checks at about $25,000. So if you guys are interested in hearing about what kinds of funds are available to you, what you might be looking for, please ping me, let me know, and I'm happy to share with you some resources that I think are going to really help you. I also have in our shamabunton.com website, I do have a fantastic guide on getting rich, and it covers a lot of the things I was talking about today. My thoughts on the secondaries market, my thoughts on venture funds, a couple different companies that I think are worthwhile to pursue and look into with respect to funds and also different platforms. So if you want to take a look at that, head over to the website and make sure you download it. It's really fun. It's easy read. It's not complicated because remember, I am not the financial advisor who's here to drill down into all the details. I'm here to help bridge the gaps between what it is you want to know in the world about how to build wealth and connect you to the dots of the people who are the experts, who are the people who can really significantly make an impact in your life. So guys, that is it for me for this bonus episode. I want to thank you for being with me on this journey. Thank you for all of your feedback. Thank you for raising your hand and contributing to the conversation, for registering for the summit. I just cannot wait to see you all in person. And please stay in touch. Find me wherever you like to be found and know that I am here right there by your side as we get rich together.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Getting Rich Together. Please take a minute to subscribe. And if you like this episode, I'd love it if you could share it with a friend who is ready to elevate their financial future. Until next time, let's keep getting rich together.